Hi, everybody. Welcome to Jill Jackson's April class, How to Teach Any Student Theme in 6 Simple Steps. We are so glad that you're joining us live on the call, or if you're listening in later to the recording. My name is Lori, and I'm a part of Jill's team, and I'd really like to welcome you and just let you guys know that our class is going to begin in 1 minute, and what's going to happen is you'll be muted by Jill right as the class begins so that we can cut down on any background noise and static. And Jill's going to be doing something really fun, I think, this class. She's going to be fielding your questions throughout the class via her Facebook page. So go ahead, log into your Facebook account, and go to facebook.com/Jackson Consulting. And if you have a question throughout the class, just go ahead and post it on the Jackson Consulting wall, and Jill will answer your questions at the end of class. Now, I thought that it would be a nice thing to do for us to do a shout-out to all of you and tell us who you are, what your role is, and where you're coming from. So we're going to do this all together on the count of 3. Don't be shy. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Leanne Plantington,
Sarah Jean Bell,
Granite District, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Watertown, South Dakota.
Louisiana.
Wow. It is so great to have so many states and folks that are here on the call. This is exciting. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me go ahead and introduce Jill to you, and she'll get the class rolling. So Jill is a nationally recognized speaker, consultant, and author of the book Get a Backbone Principle and Get Some Guts Coach. And most recently of the DVD series, How to Teach the Common Core, Practical Steps for the K-12 Teacher. Now, as most of you know, she is really committed to real-life solutions to things that we find are overwhelming, frustrating, and sometimes they're downright difficult in the education profession. Her goal on this class, as in everything that she does, is to make the difficult simple and get you to implement simple ideas right away. So, Jill, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Lori. Hey, guys. I am super glad to be joining you on this call. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone so we don't have any background noise at this point. Okay, so what we're going to do is something different for this call. We're going to try out fielding, as Lori said, fielding questions that you have about this class and the content from this class on our Facebook page. So as Lori lets you know, if you can log on to your personal Facebook account and then go to facebook.com/Jackson Consulting, you will be able to post questions about the class directly on my wall, and then I will answer those questions at the end of the class. So that is how we will get information to me and then back to you. So what we are doing today is to look at how to teach theme. And the reason why I chose this topic for our free call this month is because as my team is intimately connected to and very driven to completely and thoroughly understand the Common Core state standards, what we're realizing is that there are some topics or some ideas that are contained within the Common Core standards that we think that a lot of folks, including us, have taken for granted that kids already know how to do. And so we're coming from a place of saying, hey, we think our kids already know how to do this stuff, when in reality we should be asking, hey, wait a minute, who taught that to them? And so theme is one of those. As my team was working to develop new content, and as Lori said, we just released in the past month a new product called How to Teach the Common Core, Practical Steps for the K-12 Teacher. It's a DVD series, kind of a trainer of trainer models for districts and schools. And as we were developing that, the overall question we were asking ourselves was, how do I take this standard and how do I teach this standard in a way that kids will really understand it? So we took the Big Bad standards and turned them into a whole series of how-tos that relate back to each standard. And what we realized is that, as I said before, we take a lot for granted as to, somebody must have taught this before, or certainly, the kids already know how to do this. After all, they're in 7th grade. And theme is one of those things. So I am going to orient you to your Common Core standards, specifically standard RL, so Reading Literature Point 2, so RL, Reading Literature Standard 2. And in K all the way into 12th grade, we are working to deal with theme. And the standard RL2 requires kids to understand theme, identify theme, analyze theme, and it's theme, theme, theme. And so as I was thinking about this class for April, I thought, let me go ahead and take some of the how-tos that we've developed over the past 6 months, 9 months, and share one of them with you. So that's the whole point of this class, is that you get theme and how to teach theme in 6 simple steps. Now, you may be way ahead of us on this because we, as we were looking through the content, thought, oh my gosh, do we know how to teach theme? I mean, we're reading experts. We know how to teach kids how to read. But, in terms of teaching theme and point of view and all of that kind of stuff, we were, varied in terms of how we did that. So I am going to teach you theme in 6 simple steps, and you might want to go and look at the RL2 standard because it specifically relates to how to teach that standard. So we know that in kindergarten through 2nd grade, that Reading Literature Standard 2, which of course is done during a first read because it's focusing on getting the gist of the text. K2 is focused on retelling and recounting, key ideas and the central message in the lesson and the moral. So in K2, you're setting the stage for really understanding theme. And then starting in 3rd grade all the way through 12th grade, standard RL2 specifically refers to theme as it relates to the central idea. And then in the later grades, it deals with how theme connects to the students providing an objective summary of what they've read. And an interesting connection that I didn't even have in my notes, but I wanted to make for you today is that this morning we had our team call. And every morning we have a team call every month, I should say, not every morning. God forbid. But every month we have a team call of all of our consultants in our Jackson Consulting team. And one of our consultants named Chris is involved with several schools in a district on implementing and doing the trial run on Smarter Balance. And so she was sharing with our team, here are some lessons learned around Smarter Balance. And one of the things that she realized about that assessment is that in the performance tasks, one of the things that kids have to do is that they have to give basically an objective summary of what they have read across one piece of text and many times in multiple pieces of text as you get to late elementary, middle, and, of course, high school. So the idea of giving an objective summary as it relates to the theme of the literature that they've read is really, really highly represented on the Smarter Balanced assessment, and I'm certain the same is true for the PARCC assessment. So what content I share with you today really does link into what kids are going to have to do on Smarter Balanced and PARCC. So let's go ahead and get started. So theme in 6 simple steps. This will be a common routine that if you can put this in place across classes, you will see that kids will become really, really independent with figuring out the theme of the text that they're reading. This, of course, is going to be related to literature. For those of us who joined a little bit after our starting time, we are fielding questions. I am fielding questions on my Facebook page. So if you go to facebook.com/Jackson Consulting, you will be able to write any questions or comments there, and I will respond to them at the end of the call. So very first step, step number 1 in teaching kids theme is to link to the standards. So step number 1 is to tell them, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we are going to focus on understanding theme, and I'm going to teach explicitly how to figure out theme as it relates to mastering standard reading literature number 2, so RL.2. So that's number 1. That's your simple thing. You've got that in the back. We are linking theme to the standard. And the reason why we link teaching theme to the standard is we want kids to know that their ability to understand theme is going to relate to them mastering that standard. Theme is not a standalone. Theme is a routine or a habit that relates to mastering that standard. So that's the simple one. That's your first step. Second step is to explicitly teach what theme is and also what it isn't. And, an interesting thing for those of you who obviously are working on school campuses, which would be nearly everybody on this call, an interesting thing to do would be to just hand out like index cards or Post-it notes to 5 or 6 people on your staff and just say, what is theme? and then have them write down their definition of theme. I would bet, given my experience with our team, that we have probably, 6 people that write these 6 iterations of what the theme of text is. So our students, no doubt, are experiencing some different plays on what theme is, and they might be a little bit confused. So we're going to start off, which is step number 2. We're going to start off by explaining this to students. Theme consists of 2 components. So theme is 2 components. First component, what the text is mainly about. Second component, what details support what the text is mainly about. And you notice that standard number 2 for the reading literature standards is connected to that CCR, or Career and College Readiness, chunk of standards 1, 2, and 3, and those are called key ideas and details. Okay, and so we have theme basically deals with key ideas and details. And here's the definition of theme. So 2 components, what it's about, the details support what it's mainly about, and then its definition. I say to my students, guys and gals, theme is the lesson of the text, the message that describes an opinion about life, human nature, or elements of society. So the idea is it might be a message, but it also might be, it might be a lesson, but it also might be a message that describes an opinion or an idea or a thought about life and human nature. So this is about people and kind of the cycle of life, okay? Here's what theme is not. Theme is not a summary or plot. So while we say that theme consists of what the text is mainly about and then the supporting details about what the text is mainly about, it is not just a regurgitating or a summary or a plot line. It is about the lesson or the message from the text. Plot is what characters do. Summary is a brief account of the main parts. Theme is what the characters learned, or the connection to humanity, essentially. So I explain that to my kids first off. Before I jump into let's figure out the theme, I go ahead and I explain to kids, here's what theme is about. So that's step number 2. Step number 1 is linked directly to the reading literature standard number 2. Step number 2 is to explicitly teach what theme is and what it isn't. Step number 3, and this is a huge game changer for me. Step number 3 is to teach the most common themes. And so I'm going to run through these, and as part of you signing up for this class, you also get the recording. So you might want to jot some of these down, but then also go back and listen and pick these up in the recording. It's at about the 11-minute mark right now. So as you listen to the recording, you could fast forward to this point, because I'm going to share with you a bunch of common themes, and you might not be able to write them down fast enough. So you can go back to that audio there. So the step number 3 is to teach kids the most important themes. When I taught theme, let's say in my 6th grade class, I taught theme as kind of an out there concept. And the out there concept was hard for me to explain because it was very out there, and I'm a very literal person. But it was also really hard for my kids to understand because I didn't give them any base as to what theme might look like or what to look for or what, to kind of orient them. So the step number 3 in teaching theme in 6 steps is to tell them some major themes. Most of literature will connect back to one or more of these themes. So I say to my kids, okay, guys, as we read literature, whether we're in kindergarten, whether we're in 12th grade or any grade level between, there are some common themes that you need to know about so that you can be looking for those themes within the text, which will help you better understand what theme is and how to find it. So here are some of the most common themes in literature. Number 1, man struggles against nature. Another one is man struggles against societal pressure or pressure from others in society. Man struggles to understand divinity. Here's my favorite theme. Crime does not pay. How to overcome or overcoming diversity and overcoming adversity. Friendship is dependent on sacrifice. The importance of family. Just when you think life is going to be easy, something bad happens to balance it out. Love is the worthiest of pursuits. Death is part of the life cycle. Sacrifices bring reward. Human beings all have the same needs. So those themes that I just shared with you right there are most common in literature across particularly American literature, but probably internationally as well. And so what we have to do is maybe even give a list of these common things to kids so they can start to see, oh, as I read, this is kind of sounding like this theme. So here's my big aha on step number 3. Theme does not come out of midair. Theme comes as I take the common themes that I just shared with you right now, and I start to analyze my literature that I'm reading and trying to see if any of those themes indeed are the theme from the literature or from the text that I'm reading. So step number 1 is to, in teaching theme, link to the standard. It's reading literature 2, standard number 2 for reading literature. Step number 2 is explicitly teach what theme is. It is the lesson or the message, and what it isn't. It is not plot, it is not summary, but it is basically what the character has grown to understand or has learned. Step number 3 is to teach the most common themes, and I gave you some of the most common themes. And now step number 4 is to actually have the kids connect what theme is and what the common kind of themes across literature are to the text that they're actually reading. So step number 4 is to have kids do 2 things as they've read the text. Number 1, they're going to describe the character at the beginning, the main character, at the beginning of the text. And then the second thing they're going to do within step number 4 is describe the character at the end of the text. So what I'm envisioning and what I'm looking at right now in my notes are 2 boxes side by side at the top of my paper. The top left box says describe the character at the beginning of the text so that my students can list all of the attributes of the character at the beginning. And then the right-hand box says describe the character at the end of the text. And so the students will then list all of the attributes or characteristics of the character at the end of the piece of text. Now, this could be a chapter. It could be an entire novel. It could be a short story. You'll have to figure out what makes sense in terms of chunking up, how kids will determine theme. So that's step number 4. Step number 4 is to describe the character at the beginning and describe the character at the end. When I have done this with students, I have realized that kids will give a cursory kind of here's what the character was like at the beginning, a couple of ideas, and then a couple as to how the character was at the end. You really want to spend some time here because step number 4 in teaching theme is really where kids get as many ideas as they can together. So I usually will give a minimum. So I'll say, okay, you need to give 5 attributes on how the character was at the beginning and 5 at the end. So they have a total of 10 attributes because they need a lot of stuff to be able to actually look at and analyze. So step number 5 is that students will go and describe the event or the crisis or the kind of the high point of the text that caused the character to change. That's the basis of theme, is that a character changes from the beginning to the end, which gives you the theme of the text. That's usually organized around the theme. Now, somebody asked me this question recently. They said, well, you know what? We were reading a short story recently where the city where the story took place was actually the main character. Oddly enough, I said, oh, I totally get that. So I said, in that case, you would say, how was the city described in the beginning and how was the city described in the end? And then the event that caused the city or the setting to be changed because the setting or the location was actually the main character. So regardless of who the main character is, whether it's a person, place, or thing, you're going to describe the event. In step number 5, describe the event or the crisis that caused the character to change. And I have students write a list, like a bulleted list of kind of what was going on, what happened, when did it happen, how did it happen, how long did it take. So I try to get them to really describe that event from the text because that's going to be a pivotal part in determining theme. Get as much information as they can there. And then finally, we get to step number 6. And step number 6 in teaching theme is that we now take how the character was at the beginning of the text, which was step number 4, and the end of the text, step number 4. Step number 5, we really look deeply in and list all of the things that happened regarding the event, the climax, or the character, when the character had a crisis or the character changed or this one pivotal moment. We really kind of unzip that and list as many pieces of information on that. And step number 6 now is to go back to, in light of all of the information we collected in step 4 and 5, is to go back to our themes, our most common themes, which I shared and you taught or you will teach in step number 3, and say, in light of how the character began, how the character ended up, in light of the event or crisis that changed, which, by the way, I have kids brainstorm in the middle of the paper if they're taking notes, then what is the most logical theme here and why? And so kids will go back and say, oh, clearly, based upon where the character was, where the character ended up, and the climax or the pivotal scene or the crisis or event that really changed the character, the theme of this text is sacrifices bring reward, and here are 5 reasons why. And the reason why I add the 5 reasons why is because I want to make sure that kids are linking back to the text, and that's that text-dependent response as well. So, we might have some English teachers on the line. It's possible. It's very possible. And some may say, oh, my gosh, well, we're going in and we're going to theme much more deeply than these 6 steps. And to that I say, certainly, you'll be going in much deeper in an English class. But what we're going for is we really dig into how to teach the Common Core standards, is that we want to get some simple routines that everybody can use across the board so that we can build habits in kids. And so these 6 steps kind of lead us to a simple routine for figuring out theme. Now, what I have done is I've tried to apply this to some things that I read, and I read a lot of, highbrow stuff, but I also read some very lowbrow stuff like Danielle Steele and, all of that kind of stuff. I love all that stuff. For plane rides and vacation and, in the evening when I don't feel like getting heavy text, And what I realized is these 6 simple steps work as we're figuring out theme. And so I'm going to review them, and I'm going to refresh my Facebook page, see if you've added any questions here. For those of you who might have joined a little bit late, we are fielding questions on our Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/Jackson Consulting. If you need clarity or you have questions, you can go ahead and put them there. But let me review the quick steps before I answer any questions. Step number 1, you're going to link to the standard. This habit particularly relates very specifically to reading literature standard number 2 across the board. Even though we have a theme first cropping up in 3rd grade and then subsequently all the way through 12th grade, we know that in kindergarten through 2nd grade we are setting up, by focusing on key ideas in the central message, we're setting up for theme starting in 3rd grade. Step number 2 is to explicitly teach what theme is and what theme isn't. And I worked you through that. Step number 3 is to teach the most common themes. So I listed and I gave you that 11 minutes into our class. So when you get the recording, you can go into about the 11 or 12-minute mark, and I list all of those common themes. To me, that's the game changer, that we give kids something to hang on to in that step 3 to say, hey, be looking for these themes so that we can start to analyze the text that we're reading. Step 4, I start to create 2 boxes at the top of my note-taking page if I'm a student. Top box is describe the character at the beginning of the text. I give the minimum. You have to list 5 examples or 5 adjectives to describe the character at the beginning. And then the second box on the right-hand side are my descriptions or my adjectives of how the character is at the end of the text. Then in the very middle of the page, sometimes I even draw a little triangle underneath those 2 boxes that were at the top of my page, and that's where I describe the event or the crisis that caused the character to change. In detail, I describe that. So I kind of bullet that. So that's step number 5. And then finally, step number 6 is I take all of that information, how the character was at the beginning, how the character was at the end, and then I describe the event or crisis that changed the character. I take all of that, and then I start to go back to the common themes in literature and see what sticks. And that's really where we start to see a lot of discussion needing to come in, really linking into those speaking and listening standards, and get kids to analyze, start getting them to think about what they're reading there. So I'm going back here to our Facebook page. We don't have any questions loaded up there. And so I'm going to give you about 20 seconds of silence. I don't want you to hang up because I have some more stuff for you. But I'm going to give you about 20 seconds of silence on the line, so you can go to our Facebook page and log on a question, and then I will answer that. And so your 20 seconds of silence starts now, and then I'll pop on and give you some more information. So 20 seconds to get a question together and pop it over on that Facebook page. Go for it. All righty. So we don't have any questions. That's a really good thing. Maybe I was as clear as can be, or maybe you had a little bit of trouble logging on to Facebook or something. I will be glad to, after the fact, if you have questions after the class or tonight as you're thinking about what I shared, pop those questions on the Facebook page. We'll be glad to answer those for you. The last order of business that I have for you is I wanted to share with you an opportunity that we have going on in our company. We are doing a series of classes on what we're calling the Common Core Coaching Upgrade 2014. So it is an opportunity for you to be coached on the most important parts of the Common Core, and it's all brand new content. We develop everything. Nothing is rehashed. This is not the same content you get on the free classes. We started this year with a Common Core Coaching Upgrade class. We had 52 people on the class. We were thrilled by that. And now we're into our Common Core Coaching Upgrade Advanced class, and that's going to be starting in May. And so we're really excited about that. I wanted to give you, because you took the time to be on the call, an opportunity to get a huge discount on that class. And this is something that you can, maybe bring your team. You guys can all sign up for it. You'll be a part of it. We've got a lot of teams, coming on the training and then going back and sharing information with their staff. And that's what it's designed to do. So this class, our advanced class, is all about how to plan for the Common Core. So we go through 4 steps: how to map out your year-long plan, how to map out your monthly plan, how to map out your weekly plan, and then ultimately how to plan for daily lessons for the Common Core standards. So we help you build a pacing plan for all of the standards and then map that all the way down to what does a lesson look like. So that's a 4-week class. I want you to go to jackson-consulting.com. That's our main website. And we'll also send you the link in the recording email. And if you go to the Classes tab and you hit Advanced Coaching the Common Core, you'll be able to read tons more specifics about the class. And then you can sign up for the class right there. I just want to let you know that we're offering 30% off just for the folks on this call. So if you use the coupon code ADVANCED30, so ADVANCED, ADVANCED30, no spaces and no capitals, just all lowercase, you'll get 30% off of that price for a 2.5-week period. So you might want to be able to do that, and we would love to have you on that class. So as a thank you for being on this call with us, and to make sure that we tie in folks that couldn't join us live on the class, you will be receiving an email that has the link to the audio of this class. You can go back and listen to portions of it or share it with your staff. You are more than welcome to do that. And I just want to thank you for joining me. This has been a great time for me to share with you 6 simple steps to how to teach teens. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks, guys.